Hey, what's up everyone? 2014 is over, 2015 is here, but before we move on, let's go back and rank some movies of 2014. Here are my top 10 movies of 2014. For those of you who don't know, this list will consist of my personally top 10 favorite movies of 2014. And these movies will not be video on demand movies or movies released for TV. These must be theatrically released movies released in 2014. Now before I start my list, let me just give off some of my honorable mentions that aren't going to be mentioned on my top 10 list. These movies include Muppets Most Wanted, Non-Stop, The Interview, St. Vincent, Whiplash, The Skeleton Twins, The Fault in Our Stars, 22 Jump Street, Neighbors, Selma, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Nightcrawler, and Captain America the Winter Soldier. Now, let's start off on our list. Here is number 10. Coming in at number 10 is the World War II drama Fury. Fury, starring Brad Pitt, Logan Lerman, and other guys in a tank, is about these guys in a tank during World War II and they just shooting up Nazis. And when I first saw this, I thought, okay, this is gonna be some good Oscar bait, it's gonna be very nice. And when I saw it, I was blown away because the violence is so realistic in this movie, the acting is good, the script writing's good, the cinematography I even noticed was really good as well, and just everything was so good together. It just, some of the characters weren't that likable. Like this one guy, I think he's from Walking Dead, I didn't like him, he was a dick. But besides that, Fury was one of the most surprising movies I've seen of 2014, and I loved it. Coming in at number 9 is the movie that I didn't see until 2015 actually, on New Year's Day. And this is the highly anticipated sequel, Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 1. Now going up to this movie, there's been a lot of controversy stating that the final book in the trilogy should not be split into 2 movies. And the reviews saying that this movie was very little on action, unlike the first 2, and had a lot of drama and acting, and it just didn't flow with the rest of the series. Well, when I saw this, I thought that it was a perfectly acted movie. Everyone had their great roles. Julianne Moore was good, Philip Seymour Hoffman was good, Jennifer Lawrence was good, and the action was spread out evenly throughout the entire movie. It just flowed well with enough action, but enough good acting that it all just worked really well. And also, the last 15 minutes were some of the most intense minutes I've seen in film all year, and I was so pissed off when it ended like that. But it was just so good and so surprising. I loved it so much. I cannot wait for the sequel. This is probably going to be one of the best franchises of all time. Number 8 is a fun family musical that is... no. Into the Woods. Into the Woods has an all-star ensemble cast starring Meryl Streep, Anna Kendrick, Chris Pine, Emily Blunt, Johnny Depp, and a bunch of other people. And the one thing, I like musicals, and I knew Into the Woods way before this was even announced as a movie, and I was really excited for when it was going to be a movie, and I saw this with my entire family. The music was great, the set designs were great, everything was just great, everyone and everything about it was just great. And with the ending, a lot of people said that this movie didn't have a good ending, it wasn't consistent, didn't flow well. But that's the point of the ending. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen that. There's no such thing as happy endings in real life, even in the fairy tales like Jack and the Beanstalk and Rapunzel that all of you have known to love. Number 7 was the biggest blockbuster of 2014 during the summer, and this was Marvel's own Guardians of the Galaxy. Now just like me, before the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy even came out, I had no idea who they were. And then I saw the trailer with the mashup of Hooked on a Feeling, and I was sold. And did the Guardians of the Galaxy pay up? Yeah, it did. From like the first opening scene title to Come and Get Your Love, I was just like, this is gonna be so much fun. And then I saw it, and yeah, it was so much fun. I saw it twice in theaters, I have it on Blu-ray. It is the most fun movie I've seen in a long time, because it knows what it's trying to be, and it succeeds at that, and it's just a lot of fun with great acting from Chris Pine, and I was a fan of him before this movie, and he just became... bam! And everyone was just so great in this. And even like Bradley Cooper voicing a talking raccoon and Vin Diesel voicing a talking tree. No one thinks it will be good, but it's so good and it's so much fun. But yeah, some of those tiny problems kind of bring it down a little bit. And truly, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most fun movies I've had this entire year. Number 6 is the other Marvel movie of this year that comes out, and it is X-Men: Days of Future Past. Now, X-Men has had a fine series, like I wasn't too fond of it until the reboot with First Class came out back in 2011. And I'm like, yeah, X-Men's really cool. And this movie takes the best part of both the original franchise and that new-ish franchise and mashes them together, and it brings out one of the most well-acted, most dramatic superhero movies that even feels like a superhero movie. And it's just so good because it's surprising, and it's very quick. Like, I was surprised when I first saw this. Like, the plot was put in with 15 minutes and Wolverine gets sent back to the 1970s with, like, barely any exposition, but still enough. And this movie just mashes everything so well put up together. And this has one of the best sequences I've ever seen all year, which includes a fun kitchen scene with Quicksilver. It's pretty awesome. At number 5, this movie is the frontrunner for Best Picture of 2014, and it is Boyhood. Coming out in the summer, I was very excited for Boyhood because it has such an interesting premise of actually following a kid for 12 years of his life. And the movie itself, it's really good. It's well edited, it's somewhat well acted, the writing's also really good. It's long, because it's 12 freaking years of a kid's life. And the movie's really good on its own. But the technical aspect behind that makes the movie so much greater because you know how much effort and desire the director, Richard Linklater, wanted to put into this, and he did. Everyone is just so into it, but the technical aspect behind it makes it so much greater that it adds on to the already great movie it already is. My 4th movie of the year is the very anticipated yet very disappointing for most people, and that is Interstellar. Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Michael Caine, Casey Affleck, and that girl from 0 Dark 30 I can't really think of right now. This movie has an all-star cast, and one of my all-time favorite directors, Christopher Nolan, directing and writing Interstellar. How could this go wrong? And for some people, it went kind of wrong. I must admit, near the end of the movie, the plot gets a little weary, but it's so epic, everything up to it. Like Nolan's other movies, Interstellar is beautiful. Beautiful looking, beautiful sounding. Some people may not like the sound. I thought the sound was appropriate, but the score was also really good, and the acting also, especially from McConaughey and his little daughter that didn't want him to go into space, is just so good. And also one of my most favorite parts about this movie is that it's so original and yet so ambitious. It wants to be so much more, and at the end it kind of goes to be too much more, then it kind of loses itself and the plot kind of crumbles upon itself and you're like, what's happening? But besides that, Interstellar is one of the most original, beautiful things I've ever seen all year, and even though it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, it felt so much shorter. And also it had a great surprise cameo in the end, which I didn't even know about, and props for you, Christopher Nolan, for doing that. Good job keeping that a secret. My number 3 on the list is a very controversial movie, but not because it was bad, it's because it got snubbed at the Oscars for Best Animated Movie. This is the Lego Movie. Lego Movie is basically the Toy Story of this generation, in my opinion. It's so original and brings a new idea to the idea of toys, and it's humorous, it's funny. A Lego Movie is one of the funniest animated movies I've seen. It's consistently funny. I like the guys who made this. They made 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 1. All really good movies. And the Lego Movie, like everyone else, I didn't think it was going to be that good. But then I saw it and I'm like, whoa, this is hilarious! Because the animation is so original because it feels like they're actual Legos. It feels like stop motion, but no, it's computer animated. And also the voiceover is just so great. But the Lego Movie has such a great message that everyone's special. It's great for kids, it's hilarious for adults, everyone gets entertained, it's original, it's so great. What is wrong with you, Oscars? Nominate this! My number 2 is my highly anticipated sequel of the year, and that is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was directed by Matt Reeves, who also directed Cloverfield, another very great monster movie, which was a great Kickstarter for the found footage genre. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes isn't just a regular fun summer action movie, it is a fun, politically in-depth, thoughtful action movie that came out during the summer. When you watch the movie, you feel like these apes are real people. Andy Serkis, he is phenomenal, again, as Caesar, the main ape. I love Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I was so excited for this because it had great visuals, and also Caesar, who is the biggest badass I've ever seen. No! I love Caesar so much. But I was so excited for this, and the movie paid off. It had great characters of apes and a great cast of humans, because they have Gary Oldman, Jason Clarke. They are all really good, and their plot with the plot of the apes, it just mashes so well together. And they also have this subplot with this ape called Kobo wants to take over Caesar, because he says, humans bad. It's my best ape impression. And also the imagery. One thing that's selling me on this movie is that the first shot is an ape-like animal Caesar face who's like want to kill, to the last shot, which is a close-up of Caesar again, but he's more like a human, he's more appropriate, he's not like an animal anymore, and that's just showing us how much these monkeys are changing throughout this movie. And also the script is really well done, cinematography phenomenal, and also just really good. It's a really exciting movie, it's really politically in-depth, it had great visuals, it's not your average summer blockbuster movie. It's something more. It's a better movie that's well directed, visually stunning, well acted, well written. It's great, and I'm excited for the sequel. And my number 1 movie of 2014 is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Caw-caw! That was my Birdman noise. Birdman, starring Michael Keaton, is about Michael Keaton, I guess. Michael Keaton is playing a guy who's trying to recover from his acting career after playing a superhero movie in the 1990s. Remind you of someone? Yeah, Michael Keaton is basically playing Michael Keaton. And to revive his acting career, he is producing, writing, and starring and directing in his own Broadway show. And in this Broadway show, there's some minor technical difficulties, which has him recast one of his characters to be Edward Norton. So Birdman, with a phenomenal cast of Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, I love Emma Stone, Edward Norton, and Zach Galifianakis, it is a great movie. It's great because the movie is funny, it's engaging. The most engaging thing and the most important thing about this movie is the cinematography, because this entire movie is shot in one take, except for a few cuts. There's 3 cuts in the movie, I think. But most of the movie, 99.5% of this movie, is shot continuously in one take. So you feel like you're with the characters this entire time, and you're engaged, you are them, and you are dealing with their emotions. It's so engaging. And the symbolism is also really good in this movie. You can see it throughout. There are little hints like, oh, he's Birdman, or oh, he's changing. And also, Michael Keaton, who doesn't really know who he is right now, he kind of had these weird fantasies, where either he's flying, or he's levitating, or he throws something. You don't know what is real or what's not real because you're in the mind of Michael Keaton throughout this movie, and that's why it's so engaging. And the ending. The ending, like some endings that kind of bring up some controversy, is one ending that can be interpreted in a different way. I don't like endings like that most of the time. Birdman is the one where you kind of guess what happens in the end, but you can really have it open up for interpretation. And that's one great thing about this. You can say anything about it. You can have a million possibilities of what the ending really means or what happens, and that is what makes Birdman so great. Also with the score, the writing, the acting, cinematography, editing, message, themes, symbolism, everything is great about Birdman, and that's why Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, is my #1 movie of 2014. So, did you like my list? If you do, please comment about things you like, comment about things you didn't like. What movie was I missing? So if you like my channel, please like this video, comment on this video, check out my other things, and subscribe. And if you do, then you, my friend, will be a pretty cool guy. Peace!